Okay, so entering into part 3, we're going to be talking about the cash budget and the selling and administrative budget. Sedita Inc. is working on its cash budget for July. The budgeted beginning cash balance is $46,000. Budgeted cash receipts total $170,000. Budgeted cash disbursements total $174,000. Desired ending cash balance is $50,000. The excess deficiency of cash available over disbursements for July will be. And so for the cash budget, there's usually 2 questions that are asked. On an exam, it would be the excess deficiency of cash available over disbursement. So excess or deficiency of cash available, or what amount does the company need to borrow to attain the desired ending cash balance? So those are the 2 main questions that I've seen on exams. Those are the 2 main ones that you could probably get asked on an exam. So when we look at the cash budget, we have a beginning cash balance, we add cash collections, and that would be total cash available less cash disbursements, and there's just a lot of cash disbursements here, would give us total, and add up all your total disbursements would give you excess cash or deficiency. So we're going to start at the beginning, we're add collections, we'll subtract cash disbursements, and that'll give us our excess cash deficiency, so excess or deficiency of cash. So we're going to start with our beginning balance, and we will add our cash receipts, and we'll subtract our cash disbursements. Whoa, cash. And that'll give us our excess or deficiency cash. Okay, so that could be one answer. And so remember, if they are lacking, if they don't have the desired ending cash balance, if they don't have $50,000 when you're here, then they might need to go and borrow more from the bank. So let's start with their beginning balance, $46,000. Our cash receipts are $175,000. Cash disbursements are $174,000, and that would give us our excess deficiency of cash. So let's start $46,000. Add $175,000 and subtract $174,000. So they have an excess cash deficiency of $47,000. If we were moving on to how much would they need to borrow, they would need to borrow $3,000 to get this desired ending cash balance. But since this is asking for excess or deficiency of cash, we will select answer A. Okay. Basilio is working on its cash budget for March. The budgeted beginning cash balance is $35,000. So we can use the same formula. Balance $35,000. Budgeted cash receipts. Add our cash receipts is $142,000. Subtract our cash disbursements. $151,000. The desired ending cash balance is $30,000. So if we don't have enough of $30,000, if we have more than $30,000, we won't need to borrow anything. If we don't have that $30,000, then we are going to need to finance this $30,000. So over here we have our financing, what we need to borrow, and then we would end up, after we borrow that amount, we can end up with our ending cash balance here. So let's do the calculator. 35,000, add 142,000, subtract 151,000, and we are lacking, so we have our excess deficiency of cash is 26,000, which is not quite what we need to have our desired ending cash balance. So we would borrow 4,000 in cash. And so it could be just a revolving line of credit, so you can borrow whatever amount you need. Sometimes you have to borrow in certain increments of, say, 10,000. Just depends on the bank and depends on the problem that they give you. So you're going to need to borrow 4,000 to get your desired ending cash balance, and you would end up with 30,000 would be your ending cash balance after you go borrow that 4,000. What is the formula for selling an administrative budget? True or false, depreciation is paid in cash. So let's look at our budget. Depreciation is a non-cash expense, so you don't pay cash to the dealer every time your car depreciates. It's a non-cash transaction, and then it's just a systematic expensing of an asset over time. So we could straight line depreciation our car for over 7 years, and we would take the car amount, the asset amount, and we would divide that by 7 years if it had 0 salvage value, and we could depreciate it over 7 years, for example. So it's a non-cash, right? Whenever we are using credit, if we have depreciation expense, we would credit accumulated depreciation. So non-cash there. So primarily depreciation, they are not cash outflows of the current month. So non-cash there. Our budget would look like this: budgeted sales, and we'll multiply by the variable selling and administrative rate to get variable expenses. Selling and administrative rate. So budgeted sales. Let's start with our budgeted sales. Variable and selling and selling and administrative rate variable equals variable expenses. So then after you get variable expenses, you'll do variable expenses, add your fixed expenses that are selling and administrative, fixed selling and administrative to get total selling and administrative expenses less non-cash expenses gives us our cash selling and administrative expenses. So remember, these are selling and administrative, variable expenses, selling and administrative. Gives us total. Subtract our non-cash selling and administrative expenses. And we just are looking for, in our cash budget, we need to know about cash flows, and so that depreciation is non-cash, so we need to take it out. Cash selling and administrative expenses. So depreciation is paid in cash, this is false, it's a non-cash expense. So this is your formula here. If you need help finding your variable expenses, this is how you would find your variable expenses. And now we can solve for question number 5. The selling and administrative budget for Chew Corporation is based on budgeted unit sales, which are 46,000 units. So let's insert a table. Okay, yep. So we'll have our budgeted sales multiplied by our variable. Okay, so 4,600 units for August. And our rate is $7.30 per unit. And this will be total variable selling and administrative. And we'll add our total fixed. And will give us total. So I feel like a lot of the time it's just getting the format of your budget, and you will have access to your textbook and you can look at the format for your exam. So let's do our 4,600 multiplied by $7.30 per unit, 33,580. Add our fixed component, which is 51,980 per month, which includes, so there's already depreciation in this fixed amount. So we'll add these all together and then we'll take out the depreciation. So we'll add them all up and then we'll take out the depreciation portion. So 85,560. Okay, 85,560. And insert below. We'll take out our non-cash. So remember, going back to our formula, non-cash selling and administrative expenses will be 6,440, and that'll give us our cash for our selling and administrative budget. cash selling administrative expenses. Okay. We'll subtract our 6,440. So I think that's the biggest mistake that I've seen students do is they don't take out the non-cash depreciation expense, and that's how they miss similar problems like this. 79,120. Thanks for sticking with me. Hopefully budgets will be helpful to you personally and then always helpful for a company.